Yep. Thank you so
Well, good
much.
afternoon to you. Good morning for me. Good
Yeah.
afternoon for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much again, everyone, and thank you so much, Mark, for joining Henji Finland. And Mark Techson is a well-known personality. I don't think so. It will require an introduction, but let me share a few words about him, his dedication. So he is in Google Developer Relations at Google Angular team and a senior personality in Angular team. So yeah, thank you so much again for taking some time for us to share what's new in Angular 21. By the way, Angular is a love framework, so it's kind of always good to have all those things sorted it about. So yeah, the stage the stage is yours, and now we want to hear from you.
Sure. First off, like I said, thanks for having me. Uh, Really excitingly, actually, I have recently gotten promoted from senior to staff engineer at
Perfect.
Google, which has been a really huge opportunity for me. Very, very grateful. Um, yeah, Angular V21 is filled with lots of small features, but I would tell you a I like to focus on three big features perhaps for this release that I think that will be very, very beneficial for developers. Should I just start there, just talking about maybe those initial features, and then you got questions, we can go from there?
Yep, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. So first and foremost, I think that people will be really, really excited to see that we have introduced stable support for V-test. And I know that has been a really big request from developers for a long time for us to make a decision on our testing tooling. And now we have made that decision. All right. And we've pushed V-test through, and it's in a production right now. So that's really exciting. I think well, that's not the number one feature. That's one of the things I think developers are really, really happy about. Number two, I would say, let's talk a little bit about our AI story. Over the last 6 months, we've been working really hard to improve the Angular and AI story back at Google I/O. One of the things that I announced was a new part of the website that I developed. I did the first version and then have been kind of leading it since was angular.dev/AI. We have some really cool things that were made available for us, specifically around the MCP server, which is from things like ng zone to zoneless application and some other things like that. So that's really exciting. So many cool things to think about for Angular this release. Then if we think about from Angular, what else? What else? There's the Angular tutor, uh, which is really, really nice. We built that into the MCP server. Another really cool feature, something that we hadn't had before. And the idea about the tutor is not to at all replace anybody, right? Like it's not about replacement. The Angular tutor is all about giving more resources to developers. I think people will always want to learn from other humans, but people ask questions to Gemini all the time. Like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Right? How do I perform this task? Well, then we decided that it was really beneficial for us to have an AI feature for Angular that you could ask about your code base and you could ask about, well, the code base feature support is still growing, but like, for example, if you want to learn how to just start with an Angular application, this is one of the ways to start with that. So that's really exciting. Oh, I'm talking a ton. Let me give a couple more things that we are really excited about. Uh, how could I forget? Signal forms, huge. This is a huge, huge thing. So we know that we have had, I would say, not the smoothest form story because people have always asked, what do I do? Do I use template driven forms? We have some community members who believe that template driven forms are all you need. And then we really strictly type forms, reactive forms. That was successful for some people, but it was still quite complex, especially when you think about onboarding new developers. Uh, Reactive forms still became quite complex. Because even when I did my first Angular course, I remember thinking, and discussing with the team, well, what should we teach in terms of like, forms? Should we go all the way to reactive or should we just teach template driven. And template driven one in that case because of simplicity. I think signal forms are going to offer the right balance between simplicity and complexity over the long term. It's the idea that you can just bring your own data model, which is really exciting, via a signal, and then have this reactive form that you can work with. Super duper exciting. So we got signal forms out there, and then what else do we have? So many features came out in V21. This is one of the problems that we hear from people all the time, that there's too many features. So outside of signal forms, another big one, Angular Aria. That's another very exciting feature that we bring out. So you got some headless, accessible components. And I think Angular Aria is one of the features that will benefit developers in the long run, because people have wanted to bring their own design systems, their own styles to things like Angular Material or to things like the CDK. And it's just, not been as easy. And we have done a lot of work to make Angular Material more stylable. Like we did all the token stuff before, and it still didn't like kind of hit the mark that we were hoping for all developers. And now this is a better way. This is a better way when you have Angular Aria there. Okay, sure. I would love to just chat with you folks, because that's a lot just to think about in terms of starting out with our kind of like major features. But yeah, I'd love to hear questions or kind of talk about Angular with you, and see what we can learn from there.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mark, for sharing all those stuffs and the cool features which I love about Angular. Is the first one is Angular signal forms, like it's kind of a whole reactivity patterns converts towards signals. It's amazing thing like which happened, and also the great thing about Angular 21 released with MCP, that was actually the more awaiting feature because everything is actually being moved towards AI. So MCP had took along with very good direction in Angular itself as well. So I think if people have any questions, so that we can take it started from their mark, or like, yeah.
Yeah, and as the people are thinking about questions, I think one of the very cool things about this release was our release developer event that we did with the animated developer event. That was a lot of fun to make. It was a lot of work. That was made by real people. That was not generated by AI. We made that with we worked with artists and production team, and all of that was made by like real artists, real people, real voice acting.
Hmm.
That wasn't AI generated vocals. That was all us working on it and recording, which was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to do that one. So hopefully people enjoyed it. Now, of course, we won't always do something like that, but we want to do something, try something different. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things I'd love to hear feedback from people as well. If like, what did you think? Did you like this format? Do you wish we did something more like this? Do you wish we did less things like this? I would love to hear feedback.
Yeah, I think Lars is also there. Lars is also
All right,
here.
you're on mute.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Lars is also here in the call with us. He can also
Oh,
share.
Lars,
Yeah,
what's up, Lars?
Lars is on mute. I think yeah, I saw that he joined the call as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've known
Lars is
Lars
here.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi Mark.
Hello, Lars. Good to talk to you for
Uh,
virtually at least.
yeah, yeah, it was a really nice game animation thing you did for the release video. That was awesome.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad that you liked it. Yeah. Some people did not like it, believe it or not. We got some comments from people who said this is a waste of time, and they had their own feedback, which is fine. It doesn't hurt our feelings. I mean, some people like, some people do not. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that was good. Very, very fun. Lars, yeah. Lars and I, we have been talking for 5 years probably, and I think this is only like the second time we've actually could talked like this, like in real time.
Yeah, that's probably right. I wanted to add to the V test thing that's amazing. I have been working with an open source team that has a library called NGX Layout, That is the
Mm-hmm.
old previous Angular Flex layout package, but for modern Angular versions.
Sure.
And as part of that, we have been migrating all the custom utilities and Karma tests from Karma to VTest for that package, and that's really amazing to be able to do that. So really look forward to people being able to have an official migration path from Karma to VTest, and the option to have VTest browser as well, where you can run the test in an actual browser through Playwright.
Yeah, so that was actually a big important point for us because I know people were asking for quite a while, what will we do about our testing strategy? It wasn't as simple for us to just choose VTest just because it was like, oh, VTest is popular, VTest is widely adopted. Browser support was a really important feature, and we worked with the VTest team to find out about the browser support. And once they made it stable, then that made the decision for us to be easier to decide to go with VTest. But that was one of the things that slowed down the progress, was whether or not there's browser support, because developers still needed to be able to test in the browser. I mean, we can't just tell everyone with the project that has tests that run, that test against the real DOM, right? And they're not just DOM emulation. We can't just tell all of them, oh, so what? We're going to choose a popular tool, and then who cares about your other tests? No, that's not the way the Angular team has worked, and that's not the way we will continue to work, right? So that was really important for us. But yeah, the browser support was definitely an important factor for us.
Yeah. So how has the adoption been in the Google monorepo from Karma to VTest?
Oh, great question. You know what? I don't know right offhand what the numbers are in terms of teams using it. Plus, we already have other testing tools that are like custom that people use to just kind of meet the needs over at Google. Yeah, but
Ajan.
that's a great question. Yeah, great question. Oh, speaking of, I forgot one important step. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot this. It's just the fact that Zone.js is no longer the default for applications. I've totally forgot about that. That's like a major win for Angular apps, and I think that it's one of those things. Seems very small, but a lot of work went into it. Shout out to the Angular team, for some of the other core team members who put that together. But that's a really big deal for the future of Angular, is starting with zoneless. Although as I have said publicly many a time, I do not believe that zoneless was like the enemy or a terrible thing that everybody thought it was. I think as a technology, it was very interesting, and it was maintained for a long time by a very passionate team. I just think that Angular, what you all like is in the community decided to build, outgrew the use case for it for us, and that was the thing. But I do still think that not having to worry about state, because it'll just capture all your state. I mean, that's a really nice developer experience, and it's just too bad that it didn't work for the scale that. I guess the downsides just ended up being too strong, right? The complicated stack traces, some of the performance issues, and some other things ended up being too strong for it to be a long-term solution. But for the time that it was, I still appreciate that team.
Yes, yeah, yeah, you can go. Yes, yeah, yeah, you can go ahead.
Oh, hello, Mark.
Yep.
Thank you for Angie Finland and Podium for this excellent presentation. On my question about the future of RxJS, I
Sure.
know that it is replaced by signals and storing the state of component, but we have long time use of design pattern that we communicate data between components through services using the observable. How do you think this design pattern will continue to exist? Thank you very much.
Sure. Great question. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you for having me. So RxJS is one of those things that the Angular team and community have found ways to make it serve a need for us to communicate, right? But think about what observables are for and how we've used them. And I think that we haven't always used them in the way that is best suited for observables. And that's where signals come in, right? For our reactive state. So you can have your reactive state with signals. And if you're still using observables to do some of those things, we don't have any plans to deprecate, right? At least for now, right? I can't always speak for the future, but for right now, there's no plan to deprecate RxJS. Actually, we've improved our RxJS integration and trying to fix some of the unexpected bugs that we didn't even, that kind of surfaced from using RxJS. Just like if you think about from like event emitters and outputs, right? Some of those things were observables and they really weren't supposed to be. They just kind of worked, right? Like, so some of those things are kind of like, we could do better. But that doesn't mean that we are abandoning observables. Anytime you have any unpredictable, at least from my point of view, any unpredictable data or actions that may happen at some time, right? I say unpredictable because you don't know, they're asynchronous. So they could happen at any time. Whenever you have something like that, asynchronous events, asynchronous, inputs like that, I think RxJS still has a big place. But there are simpler ways and more deterministic ways to work with state now in Angular. And I think that's what you can leverage when it comes to signals. Because if you think about a signal, there is no time associated with signals, right? It's just it's just synchronous time, synchronous state. But then when you think about observables, well, the time is important. So if you have a use case in your application where there's this unpredictability over time, then RxJS still makes sense. And we still have an RxJS interop package, right? Observables are still a part of the story. It's just not the only way, because right now you had to use observables for everything, when it came to like state management and like that. You had to use for everything. And then we found that just wasn't ideal. And now we have a better way for you. But very good question. Okay. Oh, sorry, I was reading one of the questions. Oh, sure. All right. Well, if you're talking, you're on mute, by the way.
No, I'm not talking. I
Okay.
was just looking into the question from G. Praksha. So he's asking for absolutely Mark cannot agree about Angular 21 Mech Zone.js. What is history? We get fine-grained control with signals for a zoneless app while still leveraging RxJS data stream via to signal interloop based off both worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the story is going to emerge over time as well for developers in turn, because you've not had the tools that you have now for Angular. Now that you have these new tools, I want to see what will you create, what new patterns will emerge,
Yes.
because we didn't always have these tools.
Yep. Yeah. Lars has also shared the some of the router example of using that one. I think that's pretty good, Lars. That's related to the router part of it. Overall, V21 is actually kind of a new game. It's kind of a more step up towards like in terms of simplicity and more focused on developer experience in terms of like people and enterprises who are using Angular. So in Finland, there are a lot of companies also adopting Angular as well for their enterprise grade, since every framework has its own pros and cons. But what I found really good about Angular, it's kind of more towards enterprise level or kind of lower grade applications as well if you want to move ahead with simplicity. So that will go more towards in terms of extra DX properability. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the enterprise story still remains quite strong with Angular in terms of what developers will be able to build. But we're also hoping that with the invention of things like code generation through AI tooling, that it's even faster for people to develop, and it's a better developer experience. Like, developer experience is still important to us,
Yeah.
and yeah, we really care a lot about that. That's why MCP server is one of the exciting like updates that
Yeah.
we have. is just because now, because think about it like this. Regardless of if you try to vibe code an application or you want to update an existing application, or so I think about AI generated code as a spectrum in terms of how much AI generated code you want to do. You get to decide as a developer.
Exactly, as you
Do you
mentioned.
want to do all, the whole thing? You don't look at any code. You can do that. And now we have best practices, the code, the web code gen scorer, all these things. We have these tools available, right? But if you want to be even, like more like, oh, I just want a little bit of support. Okay, so I'll tell you how I use generated code for Angular right now. I've been working on a project called the Angular extension for Gemini CLI, which will be being released hopefully this month.
Okay,
Um, Hopefully it
perfect,
comes out this month.
perfect.
But I love the Gemini CLI for writing code because I like to ask questions, and then I like to ask it to offer feedback either on my solution or help me see a solution where I'm stuck. Like I was working on adding some features to one of our components for Angular.dev. And it was a small feature, but it was to add some optional properties. And I used Gemini CLI in the extension that I've been working on. I was like, hey, is this the best way to add these optional properties? And then it offered an alternative to what I was already doing. And I was like, well, I don't agree. I don't think your solution is better than mine. And so then I went back and forth in a conversation, right, with the Gemini CLI. And then ultimately I did choose its suggested changes, but I became even more aware of the value of those changes versus generating the code and never knowing what was in there,
Exactly.
right? But that's just my choice. I know some people who build their whole application from scratch with only Google AI Studio, and they just generate the whole thing. They never look.
Yeah.
That's also fine.
Yeah, yep. I totally agree on it. But I need to hear a few insights in a real story. Like assume that if someone who is like Angular 21, if we want to like if we are working on a project that is on Angular 19 or Angular 20, now we want to change some forms into reactive form, or maybe we are developing, hey, uh, Gemini can, or hey, GitHub Copilot, can you please add a feature, kind of a contact us form for users to get traction. So now our project is on Angular 19, assume. So how we can give them a pinch of Angular 21 documentation to the AI to generate the code on the basis of like Angular 21. Do you have any insights on that, like for AI generation code?
Yeah, good question. So two ways you can do that. And so let's take the Copilot example. On
Yeah.
angular.dev/AI, we have a section where we have our best practices prompts, and we have things. So in the best practice prompt, we actually update it to include new like features. Like for example, we want things like signal forms and Angular Aria to work from the start, right? From as people are generating code,
Mhm.
you could do that. You could also get so you can get your best practice prompt even for Copilot. You can get it for that and put it in your IDE. That can help you. The MCP server, you can also get best practices prompt. The upcoming Angular CLI extension, sorry, Angular extension for Gemini CLI, that will have the best practices prompt. You see what I'm saying? So we're gonna have those prompts available so that way the tooling can know more what to do.
Yep, perfect. That was I was saying. Thank you so much again for sharing this information.
Yeah,
Was perfectly okay, and thank you so much again for getting Angular 21 released, and it will be kind of very good in terms of doing development perspectives and DX and all those stuff. So I think questions are also being done. Lars has shared one question like, didn't Angular also recently receive migration prompts for AI coding agents? Lars is asking.
that's right. That's right. So we still run schematics. That's still a thing. Schematics are still a thing, but we're also trying to empower agents to be able to run the right schematic and for the agent to generate some code. So we're trying to do a mix where we can, where
Mm,
the agent can do some and then you can control more of it too.
That is
Hmm.
that is a perfect part of it, Mark. It's kind of a whole kind of a new direction. However, if agent has been deciding for a proper schematic on the basis of your current code, so that will be more kind of in terms of love capacity, I must say. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, so think about how schematics work right now. When you think about it, it does the best that it can, but it will leave to dos in your application, right? It was said, oh, we cannot fix this because of whatever deterministic path where the because the schematic is just a function,
yeah,
right? It's just a function. It's not magic. None of this stuff is magic no matter what, but I'm just saying a schematic is just a function. And we do our best to cover the as many use cases as we can think of. But now, so think of a world where you could have agents supporting your schematics where you can say, hey, you can run a schematic, and then you can ask the agent in your environment to say, okay, check out the to-dos in my code base, and let's try to implement those, right? And update the tests, and you can give all these instructions. So there are lots of things that you can do.
yeah,
I think AI development. I don't even think that we've seen the full capacity of what we'll be capable of with AI development because I think the story is not clear enough. Where there are some people who are saying, "Oh, there's no need for developers." I don't think that's true at all. And then you have some people who say, "There's no need for AI." I don't think that's true at all. You see what I'm saying? I think there is the best engineers will learn how to use AI as like a power tool
exactly.
to create the scalable applications that your users need. Because at the end of the day, developers have to use, I'm sorry, users have to use your application. Like, and guess what? A user doesn't care about how you made it. They do not care.
Yeah,
They do not care if it was 50% agent, 100% engineer. They just don't care about that. Like, they care,
yeah,
does it let them, solve their business use case? And as developers, you all know that. So use the tools to your like advantage that you can.
yep, yeah. Really cool insights on this, and yeah, I think more of the questions are actually being done in
Sure.
terms of Angular. And once again, Lars, once again, Mark, it's really pleasure to have you to learn about Angular 21 remarks and like to be on live and with NG Finland. Like it's really pleasure to have you with us, and thank you so much again.
Oh, you're
And
very
yeah,
kind. Thank you.
yep, thank you so much again, and we will see you in NG Finland 2026. So last heard for Angular 21 release, and thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining again.
Oh, thank you so much. You folks have a wonderful day. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Mark. See you again.
Okay. Bye for
Okay,
now.
bye bye.